Welcome to our MasterMine webinar for June. Thank you very much for joining us today. My name is Rob Makalek. I am the developer of MasterMine, and I'm here to show you just a glimpse of what MasterMine can do for you in terms of making managing GoldMine a much more effective and really affordable way of operating with your company. So the session today will be recorded and it will be put on the web afterwards so that you can watch. But if you stick around with us till the end, you will be eligible to win a free hour-long session of basically MasterMine analyzing your GoldMine database on your side. So stick around for that, and you will be potentially one of our winners. If you are not a winner of that, you still have the option at the end, or actually after this session, to do what we will call what we really call more usually a demo or a tour of your GoldMine using MasterMine, somewhat less detailed than what the winner of our drawing will get. But still an opportunity really to see MasterMine and really to see your own GoldMine through new eyes, which is really what this is all about. So a quick introduction to who we are, MasterMine. MasterMine has been what we call a master GoldMine add-on since 1999. In other words, we've been in this market working with GoldMine since it was version 4.0. There are over 1,500 companies that have adopted the MasterMine application either for reporting purposes, or I should say or for actively hands-on managing GoldMine data, and you may find either one of those as being very compelling reasons to work with us. We are also an authorized GoldMine dealer, which means we are in a position to work with you in setting up your GoldMine, discussing with you how you actually use GoldMine within your organization. So we're not limited purely to doing reporting with you, but that's what we're going to focus on today. A quick just introduction to what MasterMine is here. Even before I say what MasterMine does for you, just wanted to point this out. The users of MasterMine really think of GoldMine and MasterMine as being two parts of the same thing. If you are really dedicated to using GoldMine as a way of managing your business, whether it's sales management, marketing management, customer service management, all the different things that you actually that GoldMine could potentially touch in your company, MasterMine will enhance that and really make all of the people who are using GoldMine more effective and efficient. So as I talk about using MasterMine here, really want to sort of keep it in the framework of the idea that really some add-ins will add a little tweak or a little function to GoldMine, or a set of functions to GoldMine. We're not just talking about that. We're really talking about making all of GoldMine function better for you, in addition to just simply giving you reports. So what is MasterMine? It is essentially a way of managing GoldMine more effectively with end-user reporting, and when I say end-user reporting, I mean reports that end users can actually manage and work with, not just simply ones that are given to them by IT professionals or consultants. Also data manipulation, the ability of actual users of GoldMine, given within reason, in other words, given the rights that you choose to give them, the ability to manipulate GoldMine data such that it's not just, GoldMine is no longer just simply a one record at a time kind of a interface for end users, but we're really talking about empowering users to accomplish a great deal more across a larger set of potential targets with very little increase in terms of effort. And finally, so in addition to the reporting and the actual data manipulation parts of it, again apportioned out as you choose, there is process management, the ability essentially to interact with GoldMine on a day-to-day basis in such a way that you're not just simply, creating a report for a one-time analysis, or you're not just simply, let's say, fixing data one time. You're really incorporating tools for using your GoldMine for marketing, for example, in an ongoing and repeatable basis, so that your marketing actions, whether that be working with an outside email marketing service or whatever, that you have to repeat month after month can be made more efficient and more effective. So people who are currently spending hours doing repeatable processes might use MasterMine as a way of reducing that to seconds or pushes of buttons and so on. So all of that is quite a lot in terms of the possibilities of MasterMine, and what we really are doing here with MasterMine, really at the technical level, is marrying Excel with GoldMine. We're making GoldMine able to be managed in a comfortable environment, or making let's say the records or the accounts that you have in GoldMine managed in a comfortable environment, in an environment that you're comfortable with. And so this is what we're going to get at today in our session. We're really talking about solving some GoldMine issues here, and focusing really on what are the most common issues that we see in GoldMine using organizations when we first go in, especially if you have not had a very close relationship with a GoldMine dealer, where you are in an ongoing conversation with them about what are the best ways to use our GoldMine data. You've probably found that over time your GoldMine has sort of drifted into a state of disorganized, incomplete, untrustworthy data that you're and you sort of get to wonder, what is CRM all about? Why isn't GoldMine doing for us what it really should? Now, GoldMine itself doesn't force you to operate in an organized manner, but if you are operating according to a plan, and again, if you have a good relationship with the dealer who can advise you on an ongoing basis about how to match GoldMine's capabilities with your business needs, then you're at least started in that direction. If you don't have that, then oftentimes what we encounter is this. Secondly, probably the most common issues that we come across, aside from what I just mentioned about things not being organized well, is the fact that getting information out of GoldMine is nowhere near as easy as putting it in. You set up systems, you have people who know enough to at least put in names and addresses and put in demographic information. You probably, even when you set up your GoldMine, hopefully gave some thought to what kinds of information would be really useful for us to track over time. But then you turned around and said, all right, let's look at the reporting, and you went into GoldMine and you saw a fairly limited set of possible reporting capabilities there. Or you worked with Crystal Reports and found out that, well, I need to have somebody who's an expert in Crystal Reports to write me reports. Or some other, usually the solutions that people come up with as far as reporting is concerned are at best partial, meaning they're not giving you all the information you need, and usually kind of expensive because you have to work with consultants. And then even worse, when it comes right down to it, if you've got a report that some consultant made for you and you would really like to have it tweaked a little bit different, you pretty much have to go back and find that expert or find a different one and hire them to do this job. And it's just not a simple matter of interacting with the data the way I'm about to show you here in MasterMine. Carnegie, if you're trying to reach me, go ahead and cut in because I didn't see anything come up. I'll say this third thing here regarding GoldMine issues, and that is when you have those first two problems, very often what it really comes down to is, hey, you know what, our users are really no longer seeing the value of working with GoldMine. They've stopped putting information in as they should. They're not getting information back in a way that provides a feedback loop that tells them, hey, if you put in useful information about your visits with customers, whether it's on the phone or in face-to-face appointments, then the information that comes back out of it helps to encourage you to do the right work with them. It helps you to track your progress with customers, helps you to, all the things that you really hope that information out of GoldMine will help you as a business to do in terms of coordinating people. That just doesn't happen if these first two things are not in place. So you essentially lose user participation. So what we're going to talk about today is really a solution here that's really based on what we call dynamic end user reporting, as opposed to the sort of static reporting that you may be familiar with. And on top of that, the capability of using those reports as an interface for your GoldMine data, so that you can, but with the capability to actually manage hands-on the content of your data. So that's what we're going to get to here, and I'm going to actually switch right over to GoldMine now. And you should Our screen hopefully has just switched over to show you GoldMine. And so let's talk a little bit about what MasterMine can do for you. Now, what I'm aiming to do is not to show you, of course, every possible report that you can produce with MasterMine, because that's fairly obviously that's infinite, and really not show you even reports that you might look at and say, yeah, I want that particular report for our side. What I really want to do is show you a capability here. I want you to get an idea that your GoldMine really can match your way of doing business very closely. We can help you to get to that, or your GoldMine dealer can help you to get to that, and on top of that, you can be using the results of that effort, not just the effort to organize GoldMine, but the effort to actually on a day-to-day basis put the appropriate information in the right places, to feed back information to your executive level, to your sales management level, to the actual individual users, so that everything about GoldMine is a virtuous circle. It turns around and makes value out of day-to-day effort, so that ultimately that value turns into bottom line sales, or turns into bottom line customer service or marketing effectiveness in the way that GoldMine all along you thought it was going to do for you. So that's kind of a big claim, and I'm going to jump right into showing you how we do that. Now I'm going to do this with a demo database. In our demo database here, you'll see we've got the standard fields in the top left, mostly standard. Our key 1 through 5 fields, if you're familiar with the GoldMine backend, are labeled in a certain way. Probably you have similar fields to contact type and industry and maybe a score, A, B, C, or D, what's the quality of that lead and who the sales rep is assigned to it. These are all fields that are going to come into play here as I do some reports. Now in addition to that, I want to point out these other fields that are over on the right-hand side. These are sample demographic fields that we've added in. The top ones are the sample demographic fields, or firmographic fields as I've heard them called, that just tell you more about the customer. Where did that information come from? Typically that's gathered from external databases, or it's gathered by sales reps as they're calling out to their customers. And lo and behold, many people are a little bit surprised to find out there certainly can be places in GoldMine to put that useful information so that it's right at the fingertips of a sales rep who wants to follow up and do those calls. So if we've got thousands of leads in our database, really those thousands of leads, one of the things that we should be improving incrementally day after day after day as we're contacting our prospects and customers is the information we have about them that can be turned around and used for more effective marketing and more effective delivery of service. So that's the firmographic information, and then on the bottom right here I've got actually some past sales information. That might be something that was brought over from our accounting system, or maybe brought up from the pending and history tab to show what past information was done. Now how does that get brought in there? It actually gets brought using tools in MasterMine. So what I'm saying is if you get MasterMine and we start setting up reports, those reports may show key activity information from GoldMine. They may show results, sales results, if you're using those processes in GoldMine to track that information into history. They may also pull results across GoldMine and an external database like your accounting system, so that a single MasterMine report, even though you're launching it from GoldMine, is really pulling data from GoldMine and elsewhere. Very important, to know that that's possible. And having said that, once the information is in reports, MasterMine also has the tools that allow you to push that data into fields in GoldMine that make it visible and available right in GoldMine to end users, and again without building an external connector between GoldMine and a separate database that probably is going to cost you many thousands of dollars and that will break down and need reprogram and so on. MasterMine actually just has the tools, first to get information together with GoldMine data into reports, and then secondly to get it into places in GoldMine where you want it. All right, so that's a little introduction to our demo database here. Now quickly, what does MasterMine itself look like? I'm going to launch a dialog in MasterMine. There's really sort of 3 levels. One is a launch dialog that essentially allows us to relaunch MasterMine reports that have been created in the past, to organize them, share them among users, just make it easy to get to the results of work that we've done in the past, so that when you create a MasterMine report, you're not just creating it typically for a one-time use. You're creating it to be reused, repurposed, re-brought up by different users for different purposes. As long as the core data that you included in the report is what you need, it's always really easy with MasterMine reports to reorganize them to do what you want to do. In this case, we've got a set of MasterMine reports that we've created in demo mode, in our demo database rather, and we've organized them kind of arbitrarily among different functions within our organization: executive dashboard, sales management, marketing management, sales rep, time management, and so on. So in this case, we might have executives using this set of reports, sales manager using this set of reports, and the sales administrator probably, marketing manager using this one, individual sales reps with their own reports, and so on. These are all reports which can be easily created and shared to the appropriate users, so that you no longer have this issue where there's only one person in the company who has any idea how to get information out of GoldMine, and that one person has to be gone to, and let's hope they're not on vacation, and let's hope they aren't busy doing something else, to get a report for you. It's with MasterMine, it's just so much easier to simply make reports, deploy them to users, let those users open and use them, and even take it a step further and let those users have a little bit of interaction with the report if they need to tweak it, to make a different setting, to drill through the data back to GoldMine and really get some hands-on interaction with GoldMine that's more effective than what they are used to doing. So I'm going to actually pull up an example, or a couple of visual examples, so you can just see what the outcomes of MasterMine reports are. So under executive dashboards, I'm just going to open up one that's been created here, and you'll see this is a dashboard kind of similar to the sorts of dashboards that you see in GoldMine, but with some really important differences. Coming up here, and you will see, of course, that, as I mentioned before, all MasterMine reports happen in the Excel environment. That is good in several important ways. One is Excel is an environment that people are commonly pretty comfortable with. This particular one is taking a long time to come up. I'm hoping it's just in the background there. Okay. Normally when you launch MasterMine reports, they do just sort of pop up right away, although they do refresh with the current GoldMine data while they're opening up. So if you've got a lot of data, sometimes that data will have to be read in. But I think I should probably say this in relation to your traditional experience of doing reports. You may have heard the phrase "run a report," where someone gives you, let's say, a GoldMine or a template rather for a GoldMine report, and then what they call run the report, which means somebody launches it and data kind of flows into it or flows through it. In MasterMine, typically that's not the way it is. You actually have the data in your report. It can even be stored in the report, although typically what you do is just store it so that it launches while it's coming up, or rather refreshes while it's coming up. I think I'm a little bit stuck here, so I'm going to. Oh, no, I'm not. Something's happened. Something's happened in our demo server to really deprioritize it, I think. But hopefully this is gonna finish coming up here in a second. Okay, so my dashboard has come up. Now, like I say, when we do a demo on your side, your experience will be that it comes up very quickly, and that whole process that just took about a minute here really should happen in about 3 seconds. Now this is a dashboard, like I say, that probably looks kind of familiar, like a built-in GoldMine dashboard. It has some buttons at the top where we can, for example, choose a different date range for our report, and here I'm going to apply that across. So we didn't actually have any Q2 data there. That's kind of bad luck here. Let's go back to Q3 and apply it. So that's I think I'll just sort of leave it there with the idea that you can do your own settings here at the top of this list. But where I want to go with it further from there is to say that's not all the settings that are available to a user of a MasterMine dashboard. If you're using a GoldMine built-in dashboard or had somebody customize one for you, you might have some settings like that. But what you wouldn't have is the underlying data that goes with it. So, for example, this is a series of, as you can see, graphics that sort of show you where are we with calls and appointments, for example. So I'm going to actually click on this one, and it's going to take me to a drill down, which is actually another tab in the same workbook that shows me the information that underlies that table. And it actually, in this case, I've got it laid out in two separate tables where the individual people and the numbers associated with them are all there. And here's where this really starts to diverge a lot from what's built into GoldMine. So first off, this workbook or this dashboard was actually created with about an hour or two of effort. So it was not a days-long or weeks-long effort, as I'm sure you guys have, if you've ever had paid somebody to create a dashboard for you. That's more the kind of time frames that those take. So like I say, an hour or two to set this up, typically, especially if it's full of simple reports. If they're more complicated, of course, sometimes the issue is not so much technically setting them up as figuring out what are the right queries and what are the right data relationships that you want to have in GoldMine. That just takes the time that it takes. The second thing, though, in addition to the fact that this was easier to create, is that this report also has it can be adjusted by the end user based on their knowledge of how to work with working with the database. In other words, it doesn't require knowledge of how to write a SQL query, but you might very well want to be able to do things like say, well, in my forecast table here, I want that to be able to. Right now, it's showing me all of my forecast for 3 different product sets. Maybe what I really want to say, having looked at this for a while, I realize, oh, I want this to only show the ones where the probability is less than or is greater than 50%. Just one example of many, or only certain users, or only certain products, or there's many possible ways that you might want to tweak that. Well, if I go over here to the forecast tab that underlies this, and I say, well, all right, let's do do this by the probability of showing only the ones that are 50% or greater, then as an end user, I still have enough knowledge and capability of using MasterMine to actually make a change like that. Now, that's not a change that you would ever do in a GoldMine dashboard, but here it's pretty easy to find the probability field, include or disinclude certain parts of it. I've just done that with this report, and my dashboard now will reflect that change that we just made. And you can see actually right up in here, the probability button is there. In a lot of cases, the users don't choose just not to show buttons at this level, so I would just hide them and use the background part of it to make my settings for it. Many options about how you actually display information. So I just wanted to kind of give you really a quick view of what a dashboard might look like, as well as kind of really home in on that idea of end users should be able to make their own selections about what gets included in the reports without having to go back to a technical user. Now, in MasterMine, I'll sort of hasten to add, some organizations, they really want to kind of lock down the reports for the in-house end users, and they want an external supplier, let's say, to provide the ability to create reports, but they don't want that supplier to cost a huge amount of money, and they want tweaks to happen when they need tweaks to happen, not just whenever an available high-tech person is available for them. At MasterMine, we do both provide the software that allows you to do these reports efficiently, but if you choose not to actually do the support itself as well, we can do reporting support, creating reports for you through the web, through GoToMeeting, and do it on a much more efficient basis probably than you've ever seen before. Okay, so that's a quick view of dashboard kind of view. I want to go to a more typical reporting sort of report, or more typical kind of report that people use. In this case, rather than launch it again through the launch dialog, as I've shown you, we can organize them that way. We can also set up reports that just simply launch right from menus in GoldMine. And it's very easy when you're in a MasterMine report to share your report to another GoldMine user's taskbar, similar to what you're seeing right here, so that user can simply go to their taskbar, choose the report that you've set up for them, and have it pop open for them. And like I say, it should normally open up and do that very quickly. Here we go. This one's going with a little bit more zest. And that report, when I say report, we're really talking about in the MasterMine context an Excel workbook that can have, again, multiple views into the data, organized on different tabs in different ways so that users get all the different angles that they need, or at least can set up their own new angles very easily, very quickly with immediate results, so there's not like a lag between programming and results, so as you would have in like a crystal report sort of setting. This is immediate. If I make a change in my report, you just know that I've made the change right away. If I decide that really we want to see the detail of in this case it's lead assignment. So this is a report of leads added to our database in 2015, broken out by which sales rep they were assigned to and what score they are. So these are, and sales rep and score, those are just key fields in GoldMine, but any field that's in GoldMine is very easy to include here, as I'll show you in a moment. But as an end user, again, how I choose to have this laid out, showing me in this case the detail of the less or the lower score ones, or rolling them up into a single column to make that visually simpler, or doing the same really with my top score ones, or grouping them. I might choose to group them differently with just the A's and B's as top scores, or however you want to do it. That's all very dynamic, and an end user can control that, and with just a little bit of training they can take advantage of that. Essentially what makes your end users able to do this where today they are not is, first, MasterMine makes it very easy to build the reports in the first place, and I'll give you a little look at that later on. But secondly, end users do have the sort of interactive capability that I've been showing you, and they have, with MasterMine, additional tools that really take the hard edges off of working with the analytical functions built into built into Excel, where we just sort of reduce those down to push-button options, or make them easy for you to interact with GoldMine from here. So that is that's, in this case, a sort of a simple view of a lead management report. One of the things that I want to indicate here is some of you may actually recognize this as Excel, as using a pivot table functionality that's built into Excel, but it's not merely that. It's really quite a lot built upon that capability. So some very important examples here might be with reports, even though we're in Excel, we're working with data that's been, in a sense, exported from GoldMine, although it's really also still in GoldMine. That's one of the key things that you need to recognize here is we are still talking to GoldMine. If I click the refresh button, then I am literally hitting the GoldMine database again, refreshing with current data, and this report is now refreshed as of 5 seconds ago. So it's not a process of export a bunch of data from GoldMine into Excel and then do some reports, and then the next time you need them again, go all the way back to GoldMine square one again, export again, and start building from scratch. MasterMine, what you create with MasterMine stays in existence, can be called back up so that you're always only moving forward from where you dropped off, from where you left off the last time. You're not redoing the same thing over and over again. As a matter of fact, if you think about within your own organization, any of the things that are done, whether it's reporting or let's say extracting information from GoldMine to Excel for almost any purpose, for marketing purposes, or to pass around to dealers or distributors, or to pass around within the office, all of that stuff that's currently done manually that probably is eating away hours that you're not even recognizing as being something that's costing you a lot, that all should and could be replaced by very simple tools in MasterMine that reduce that down to really a mere refresh. So really in terms of improving the efficiency of the day-to-day on the organization, that's very much what this is all about. Okay, so what I wanted to illustrate here was not just, though, that we're still talking to GoldMine and you can refresh, but that you can also do things like add a field from GoldMine that you didn't include when you originally exported this stuff. And in fact, I can go to even my user-defined fields if I want to, and pull in any of the fields that are in GoldMine so that I can display that right there in GoldMine. Maybe birthday isn't my best choice here. Let's go to, the date we did a demo with them in the past. That might be a nice field that we've put into the top of our GoldMine screen so that we know the last time we actually had a sales interaction with them. And each one of these, we might use this demo date as a reporting mechanism. I really wanted to, let's pull it in, I'll just display it. So for each sales rep, by the date they did a demo with us, their A's, B's, and C's, and these are, of course, our new leads from 2015. So that's one way to organize that. There are further tools here that allow us to take these date fields and organize them into somewhat more manageable units. And that information that I just added, the demo date, also shows up when I drill down in my report. So drill down, what do I mean by that? A MasterMine report, every MasterMine report that is a summary, when you double click on one of the numbers, gives you the information that's behind that number. So if I double click on Lori S's A leads from 2015, there's 13 of them. If I double click, it immediately creates a sheet in my Excel workbook that contains that information. Now there's also some notes included in my report, so it's asking if I want to bring those notes together. So here you can see I've got the notes from history for these. And that level of drill down is kind of similar probably to what you've seen in QuickBooks if you ever work with the accounting reports. What that application, though, doesn't allow you to do is actually go right back and pop a GoldMine record that's associated with it, but MasterMine does. So even though I've drilled down to a new sheet here, this new sheet is capable of getting me back to GoldMine for any one of the individual account records that are underneath my report. So if I double click on Naylor Engineering here, it'll go straight to the GoldMine record and pull up the Naylor Engineering record. Now that capability, very, very simple. All I did was double click to make it happen. But that capability, if you think about that, infused throughout all of your reports, means that anybody who's looking at a MasterMine report, whether it's a forecast sale report for your sales manager or the marketing person who's looking at the results of the marketing campaign that you recently did and re-imported back into GoldMine using MasterMine, whatever it is, they have that ability from inside reports to jump right to the appropriate record in GoldMine and take the next action, whether it's a follow-up by, if I have a series of records that I want to make sure that somebody calls and I assign them this way, that's one great way to do it. Or if I've got if I'm a sales rep and it's my report of my forecast for the current month and I want to make sure that everybody who's a current prospect for me in this month gets a call, it's very easy for me to actually make a MasterMine forecast report, wind up with a list like this, which is essentially a calling list, and then boom, 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 just go right down and make all my calls. In fact, I could even have my phone numbers be right there so I can make the calls, and as soon as I've talked to somebody, drill through and add in the completed history record to indicate that I've called them. Very quick and efficient new ways of managing and having salespeople self-manage that you may not even have occurred to you until now. Okay, so back to this lead management report, because I want to think about this now in terms of who your users are that need information so that they can more effectively manage GoldMine from the top, but also use GoldMine on a day-to-day basis from the end user level. When you create reports like this and set them up, those users, as I showed you before, can launch them from right on their dashboards, and they will typically use them at various different levels. So there's the weekly sales management report, for example, that shows our forecast for the coming month, that the sales manager sits down with each of the sales reps with and says, is this an accurate forecast? To what extent is it not? Can I tell from this what's going on? So there's those kinds of reports, your sort of regular weekly reports that I think, from what I've shown you, you can see that it's both very easy to create them and very easy to deploy them to the users. This is another kind of a simple report that we very frequently get asked for. This is called we call this a recent call notes report or a call, just a call report in the traditional sense of call reports, where a sales manager wants to know on a weekly basis if I'm the sales manager and you are my sales rep, I want to be able to look at what is a quick, concise understanding of what you've done in the past week. This provides you with that. In this case, if I'm the sales manager and I've got my lead management report open and it's on this tab, this is pulling contact level information from GoldMine, including the score that they're assigned, A, B, C, or D. This is the date of everybody that this user called during whatever date parameters I set for the report. The reference line from it, the notes from it. If we want the result code here, if you're using result codes, or you can include activity codes, of course. You might also include pending, the next pending call. What's the date of the next pending call? What's the reference line from that, so I know what it is you're actually calling back about? Anything that's in GoldMine can be easily included in this report and just, again, laid out so that as a sales manager, I don't need my salespeople to, in addition to doing their sales work, also create a call report for me. I can't tell you how many times we've had this situation where we talk with people and they say, well, yeah, we don't bother putting the information in GoldMine because I just ask the sales reps to go into Excel once a week and make a call report for me. Just list the most important sales opportunities that you talk to, and put in a short note about what's happening with them and the time you're going to call them back and so on. Well, if they're doing that manually in Excel anyway, they're essentially duplicating work. First, they're duplicating work that should be done in GoldMine and could be done much more efficiently there. But more importantly, if they were doing that all along in GoldMine, that information is valuable, highly valuable information that can be mined for lots of business level understanding kinds of reports, so that with that information aggregated over time, you can tell as a sales manager, month by month, who's actually getting more done than they used to, who's getting more done compared to somebody else, who's finding techniques to work with our customers that result in greater sales with less effort over time. You're not going to find that out if you just have a bunch of anecdotal reports that you forced your sales reps to put together manually in Excel. If the information's in GoldMine and can be used, sort of formulated into useful call reports, management reports, anything else, which MasterMine enables you to do, now you are miles ahead of that organization, your competitor organization, that's just keeping that information on in GoldMine or in some other CRM system where all they've got is names and addresses. This is really a way, first off, of making day-to-day work easier and more effective, but secondly, of actually planning and understanding the business better by making use of the information as it's gathered in GoldMine. Just a couple of other things visually that I want to bring you here. This is a table with an accompanying graph, again, where you can actually have some interaction between the two. If we chose in our graph, for example, it's useful for us to show A, B, and C, then this is our distribution of leads among different sales reps, and it would be relatively, well, actually, doing different version. What I actually want to show you is cloning this report, and so I'm going to clone it, really, so that in another version of this, I might, instead of having the sales reps go across here, have the products go across, the product groups. And it's very easy as an end user to drag out sales rep. Let me bring up my field list here and bring in the our product groups. If I've got, oh, I didn't actually include the product field in here. Oh, I see why. Because this isn't a sales report. This is actually a call kind of report. So a better way of looking at this might be, this is who did they contact, and organize it instead by, let's say what industry those were in. So on the fly, you can pivot to whatever makes the most sense in the moment. So there's, the same information organized differently, really a different field in that sense, but I've just created in effect a new report from an old one that still tells me useful information, and that's kind of the whole point, is that you as a sales manager or as an individual might not know in advance exactly what reports do I need in order to be able to most effectively do my job today. Sometimes you will, and you can send that to somebody and have them do it, but sometimes you really have to find your way to the information that's useful for you. Okay, so I've given you what I think is a pretty good glimpse of the reporting side of MasterMine. I'm just going to take a few minutes here to talk about actually managing GoldMine data, and then we will wrap up for what we're going to do today. So let's talk about actually managing data itself, and it really doesn't matter what report I start with. The key thing that I want to indicate is information that you can get into MasterMine reports, in other words, from GoldMine into Excel, you can, given certain licensing with MasterMine, and again, these are capabilities that you can meter out and provide to limited sets of your users if you want to. With that, whatever information you can get into GoldMine, you can also modify in Excel and send back into GoldMine in better shape than it came into Excel with. So, for example, let's just take something here. We've got 12 records here in my report that have nothing in the industry field, and really they should have something in there because they were called in 2015. They're A, B, and C. Well, okay, there's some lower level ones here. So altogether, there's 12 records there that we called upon. So if I double click on the 12, just like I showed you before, we can see the detail that's underneath them. In this case, I'm going to let the notes all roll up so we can see those. And so here's each of these corresponds to a history record in GoldMine. That's the key thing. So on the Expedia Rewards account in GoldMine with a date, oh, actually these are not called at all. See, these are ones with no history. The ones that actually do have some history this just has to do with the logic of how this report was set up. So this report was set up to actually show me the most recent call for each one of them, and it says 1/1/1989 if there has been no call at all. So for the ones that do have an appointment, if I go to Paul Adorka's record, for example, we'll see that there's an appointment in history dated December 10th, 2015, but he also has no, the industry field was not filled in. That's why I drilled down here. So if I double click and go there, of course, I could fill in the industry field and put in whatever the appropriate thing is. Now, that's fine if what I wanted to do was fix these records one by one, interact with them one by one. But one of the most important valuable things that are in MasterMine is this capability that we call Updater, where I can actually make a change on the GoldMine side and have that change affect, I'm sorry, on the Excel side and have that change affect GoldMine. We might use that for fixing incomplete data. We might use it, if I just go to GoldMine here for a moment, we might use it to actually fill in fields like this that show us key milestones for our customers. So it actually, rather than have your sales reps hunting down through history and reading old history notes for things, you could actually go through and pull out from the history key moments or key interactions with the customers based on what's in their notes or based on whatever's down there, and actually have that fill in an important date up here, or fill in important demographic information or past sales activity information, so that the next time they come to this record, they're not hunting down through history once again. It's all right there at the top of the record and easy for them to work with. And if you do that across all of your database, let's say fill in past purchasing activity or fill in information about when they last did demos with you, then think what your marketing person can do with that information in the sense of sending the appropriate messages to people who have demoed with you in the last let's say in the last month versus those who have not demoed with you for over 2 years or whatever. All of that is capability that becomes available to you with GoldMine that really never was before, because you just didn't have ways of ordering and using the data that you've got down below and turning it into useful fingertip level information right there at the top of the record. And the functionality for doing that really is what I'm going to show you here, which is Updater. So I'm just going to kind of quickly do an example here. I want to fill in a history record, or I want to make a change to a history record. Maybe I'll change, just to sort of illustrate this, I'm going to change the activity code in this from a P to an X. Maybe I'll do that for 2 different records at the same time, an X and a Y, because I want to illustrate that we could do this for 2, for 20, for 20,000 different records all at once, change data. In this case, it's going to be in the history table, but it could be at the contact level, the user-defined fields at the contact level, pending activities where we've got, old scheduled calls for people that are no longer in the company that could be turned into something more useful for existing people in the company or cleaned up or whatever. I'm going to launch the Updater dialog. Now in this case, you'll see that this is capable of doing a great deal more than simply updating a single field in place, although that's what I'm going to do here just to sort of illustrate this. I'm choosing to update the history table in GoldMine. It's going to look up each of those the 2 records that are represented by the 2 selected cells here, and it's going to change the activity code to X in this case and Y in that case, and it will do that instantaneously, basically. Now it created a little log sheet there, so you can see that in this log sheet we changed that original value to an X and this one to a Y, and if I actually use my toolbar up here in MasterMine to pop up that, in fact I'll pop up the actual history activity so we can see it. Here you can see it's been changed to a Y in the activity code where it used to be a P, and likewise with the other one. So maybe more importantly, this really powerful data management capability, which again can reach into any part of GoldMine if you want it to help you really push your GoldMine quickly to be your GoldMine data to be what it needs to be, rather than just sort of waiting as people one by one update records. This is very powerful. It is also so powerful, as I'm sure you've recognized in your mind, that you can mess up some data. So the good news is MasterMine actually has an undo capability. So not only do we keep a log of all the changes that you make, but we can also undo changes, so that now when I go back and pop up that activity, you'll see we're back to a P in the activity code here, and you see it's almost instantaneous. It happens very quickly. Again, you can modify many, many records at once, but do it in a very controlled and manageable way that, again, does not require high-tech, the involvement of high-tech users who know a lot of stuff that you don't know about how about how GoldMine works, but on the other side don't really know what it is that you're trying to do in GoldMine. We can bridge that gap essentially by giving you the capability to manage your GoldMine more directly. Okay, so with that idea and the other ones regarding reporting, easy reporting, and dynamic reporting, having those capabilities in the hands of end users, plus that ability to actually manage GoldMine data by reaching right into it and making changes based on what you see in Excel. Those 2 things are really what I want to leave you with. They're really just kind of ideas because you're only looking at a demo database here, but I invite you to take a look with us at your GoldMine data, which we can do through GoToMeeting. It's very easy for us to connect up with you through GoToMeeting, share your screen. Installing MasterMine only takes a couple of minutes, and within a very short time, you actually could be navigating through your GoldMine data in a far more enlightening and effective way than you ever have before. And I invite you to take advantage of that offer. So I'm going to pause here for a moment and see if there are any questions. If you do have questions about this or anything else that happens from now on in the webinar, you can post those questions in the question dialog of GoToWebinar. Just click there and type something in, and Carnegie will interrupt me and tell me what's important, what I need to know. But I want to switch back and just summarize if we don't have any questions in there yet. Carnegie, are there any questions?
I see one asking, can that updating feature be used on opportunities?
On opportunities, yes, absolutely. So anything that you use in GoldMine, I've kept it kind of simple so far, but as you'll see, there's I'm sure you know, there's lots of tabs inside of GoldMine, lots of different corners of GoldMine that you may or may not be exploiting. If you're using opportunities or projects or cases or details, kind of profiles that are in here, MasterMine has really good, effective ways of building reports against any of those. It has over 150 templates built in that allow you to pretty quickly get right at, I mean, you can select a template and hit go and have some GoldMine data right there that you're working with. Or if it's more, if your ideas are more complicated or your GoldMine information is more complicated, then it's always possible to build reports that include that complication. It's really a matter of sort of thinking it through and how you want it all to fit together. Good question. Okay, so I'm going to summarize this, and then again, we'll come back to any other questions at the end. And first, I have to get back to here. All right, so essentially what we're aiming at here is a set of results, and just think of this in terms of MasterMine is a report writing tool, but it's just an awful lot more than that. Fast, efficient reporting at a very low cost, getting your data fixed quickly and maintained over time. The software essentially empowers your GoldMine administrators, but it also empowers all your other users so they get a payoff from GoldMine. And that really is what really ultimately leads to successful GoldMine versus unsuccessful, if the users feel that there's a payoff for their work. And so essentially, if you are able to build up on your GoldMine user side a sense that working with GoldMine works for us because it gives us information that allows us to get more success and do our job more efficiently and more effectively, that's the big payoff, and with the result that you have a truly coordinated sales and marketing effort, and ultimately that your GoldMine works for you. So as I have mentioned several times, you have the opportunity to see MasterMine in action on your side. We will actually give away a single free guided tour of GoldMine here, and Carnegie is going to select you. If you are not actually the winner of this, where we go into a little bit more deeply, you do have the option to work with us in any case to see your MasterMine more to see your GoldMine more effectively presented to you. It's just a slightly abbreviated version of really what our winner is going to get today. So Carnegie, why don't you go ahead and choose from among our attendees today?
Our winner today is Julie Hoffman-Hogan.
Okay. So Julie, Carnegie will contact you and schedule a time that works for you, hopefully relatively soon, and you will have that opportunity. For the rest of you, if that sounds like an appealing thing to you to be able to actually see MasterMine in action in your operating with your database, do give us a call. We most often do our demonstrations of MasterMine on the demo that you just saw, but obviously you've just seen that done. But that said, we are willing to go the extra mile with you to help you to actually envision the results in your own GoldMine if you want to see it set up and done that way. Okay, so with that, I want to thank you all very much for taking the time to work with us today. I will take any additional questions that have come up, or we will sign off. Carnegie, I don't see any other questions there, so
I think that's it.
That's it. Okay, great. Well, thanks everybody for your time today, and we'll look forward to surfing your GoldMine with you.
Bye, everyone.